Finally, the last Zendikar booster box. Stop right there. I claim that booster box on behalf of my people. Not if I can mind sculpt it from you first. I'm a cleric and I summon the rules of magic and I play it on the stack. It is time that we band together. And follow our path to Zendikar. So on my turn, I play a... and I pass the turn.
Magic the Gathering.
Hi everybody, thanks for joining me on the Magic the Gathering board game Sanctuary couch. It is that time again. It is pre-release time. I bought a pre-release pack. We're going to crack it open and see what goodies this set has to offer us this time. Let's go check it out. Zendikar pre-release pack. Let's crack open this bad boy and see what we got. I love Zendikar. The plane of Zendikar and Jace looks so awesome on the front cover of this. And, it's free to breathe. I think Nahiri features prominently in the storyline here, and in Zendikar Rising, we actually do not have any Eldrazi appearing, which is, for some people, are going to be happy about this, and some people will be like, where's the Eldrazi, where's the Eldritch theme, and where's the Lovecraftian theme? What do we get inside? Oh, we get a gear sheet, which talks about some of the items that Jace will use when searching the ruins of the Skyclaves. Since the appearance of COVID, a lot of stores are selling their pre-release packs and allowing people to take them home. And whoa, we've got Zagros, Thief of Heartbeats as our date-stamped card. Legendary Vampire Rogue. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your party. Flying, Death Touch, Haste. Other creatures you control have Death Touch. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a Planeswalker, destroy that Planeswalker. All your creatures have Death Touch if this legendary creature is out on the battlefield, and it's going to make it very, very hard for your other players to try and attack you because you've got some great removal in terms of your blockers. So you could block with like a 1/1 goblin and destroy like a really big giant green worm. Also, there's a party mechanic in Zendikar Rising where you have a cleric, a wizard, a rogue, and a warrior. And if you have all 4 of those, or up to 4 of those, depending on what card you're looking at, you can get some bonus additional effects when you play those cards. Yes, so fresh. Jace and Nahiri and Nissa, I love you. Ooh, blue one. Okay, let's get to it. We've got our date stamp, we've got our gear. Let's head to Zendikar for some adventure. So the first pack that we open shall be Nahiri, and she features predominantly in the Zendikar Rising trailer that you can see on Magic the Gathering's YouTube channel. And opening the back, we'll have a bit of a promo card first at the top there. Flipped around, Synchronized Spellcraft. Deals 4 damage to target creature and X damage to creature's controller. X is the number of creatures in your party. The party consists of up to 1 each of a cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard. So if you have a cleric and a rogue only, it will do 2 extra damage to that creature's controller. If you have like a cleric, rogue, and a wizard, it will do 3 damage. So up to however many of the party that you have is going to apply to how many X is going to actually deal damage to the controller. Tazim Royal Mage, here are our commons. And Kicker is another mechanic that they've brought back from a previous set, and that's really, really cool to see here. Target opponent, each draw a card. So White is very limited in card draw, so seeing a card like this, drawing a card in white is quite good, but this downside effect is that your target opponent also draws a card as well. Love that kicker effect, very cheap too, just to beef up your creatures and knock them through at your opponent. Sure-footed Infiltrator. Tap another rogue, and Sure-footed Infiltrator can't be blocked this turn. And if you've seen on the Magic Wizards of the Coast website, they've got two commander decks, precons, kind of aimed at introducing new plays to Commander. There's a blue-black Demir rogue commander deck with a rogue commander. I can't wait to see what that is like. When Sure-footed Infiltrator deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So this will help you to draw a card, but you kind of working on Rogue Tribal. Warriors get +1/+1, another Tribal booster card. Tap another Rogue, so another Rogue Tribal booster. Whenever Shadow Stinger deals combat damage to a player, that player mills 3 cards. So mill is now a key word. Oh, Crag Crown Pathway. I love these modal side lands. So this is the first time we've seen modal double-sided two-faced lands. Kind of like Two-Face from Batman. But basically, if you have this in your deck, you can decide if it is going to be a mountain or a forest. And when you play it, you can choose which side to play. But once you play it down, that cannot be flipped over. So there's a little reminder text here for that. I love this because it kind of is a little twist on dual lands, but you can kind of see how much land you need or what land you need. And if you're playing a tricolor deck, these are really, really good options for being able to play them late game when you need that third color. Extra choice just makes it, ooh, extra beautiful in these full art lands. Here we go, we're gonna go a bit faster now. Copy Jace. Maybe Jace was a photocopier in his previous life. And we're opening pack number 2. Here we go. Pyroclasmic Helion. You may return a land you control to its owner's hand. Landfall, another predominant mechanic featured in Zendikar Rising. Up to 2 target creatures get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures in your party. Another party booster card, or another modal double-sided card. Really great, this card, because you have it in your deck as an instant, but in the late game, if you need the land, you can flip it over and play it as a Kabira Plateau, or if you have it early in the game and you don't want to use instant, you can play it as a a Plains card. Whoa, Drana the Last Blood Chief. Mythic Rare. When Drana the Last Blood Chief attacks, defending player chooses a non-legendary creature card in your graveyard. You return that card to the battlefield with a +1 counter on it. The creature's a vampire, so vampire tribal, but the opposing player gets to choose which non-legendary creature card from your graveyard that is brought out. So that's a little bit of a downside, but if you only have like very limited creatures in there, or if you specifically play certain creatures in your deck, if you're playing like a modern deck, then, you know, there's going to be limited choice for them anyway, meaning that they're going to probably choose something that you want back out on the battlefield as well. The Jace. Let's strip it open. And we have a Fisher Wizard. Oh, Fisher. Canopy Baloth. There's the Landfall mechanic I was talking about earlier. When you play lands on the battlefield, they trigger the Landfall effect, giving your creatures a bonus effect. Ooh, an Alternate Akum Hellhound. When a pair Tactician 1 warrior attack, put a +1 counter on it. She gets stronger if you attack with a base camp. So you can use this to spend as mana to cast a Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, Wizard spell, or to activate their abilities. So giving you a little bit of extra mana flexibility when you want to cast things. Umara Wizard. We have the Umara Skyfalls. Beautiful. And Morag Fury of Vacuum. Oh my goodness, I really wanted this card, and I wanted this card in the alternate art, so oh my gosh, I am super happy with this. You know, Minotaur cards in Magic history generally have been okay, but finally a legendary Minotaur warrior card has come out that is really centered around landfall, and it's got a really interesting effect. Now, each creature you control gets +1 for each time it has attacked this turn, but it's the second effect that really makes it kind of cool. It's got landfall, so when a land enters the battlefield under your control, if it's your main phase, now there's an additional combat phase after this. So at the beginning of that combat, untap all creatures you control. So you play a land under your control. If it's your main phase, then you have another combat phase straight afterwards. So that means you can keep attacking with your creatures at your opponents and get a new combat phase each time you play a land down during your main phase. So it's my main phase, I have a combat, then that's my first combat that everyone gets on their turn. Then it's second main phase, I can play a land, and then that will trigger another combat phase. So that means all my creatures untap and I can attack again. And if you have another way of getting a land out on the battlefield, you can then trigger it again and again and again. If you can multiple ways to get lands out on the battlefield, you're going to be constantly attacking with your creatures. And if your opponent has nothing that they can block with, or you've used this with a whole group of flyers, so if you're playing Izzard or red-white, you'll be able to create a really cool combat cycle where you'll be able to really attack your players multiple times as long as you can get a land out on the battlefield. So such a really cool card that has a potential for a really cool build around as well. Nissa, here we go. Let's open you. Nissa, what beauty lies inside? Tazim Raptor. Above, you get extra mountain mana for each creature in your party. So if your party consists of up to one of each of those, or if you even have two of those, you'll be able to get 2 mana when it enters the battlefield. And the adventure awaits. I feel like this is like the storybook opening card of this set. So, if Zendikar Rising was a comic book, this would probably be the opening card in it. We have a Skyclave Apparition. Oh, 2 rares. When Skyclave Apparition enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target non-land, non-token permanent you don't control. So exiles one of your opponent's creatures. That's 4 less mana cost in terms of converted mana cost. When Skyclave Apparition leaves the battlefield, the exiled's owner creates an XX blue illusion token where X is the converted cost of that. What is really beneficial about this in terms of your gameplay is the fact that if the creature you exiled had really powerful trigger abilities, which you often see in EDH, then this is really good at getting rid of those trigger abilities and then just giving your opponent a simple creature and not having those abilities anymore. So quite a really flexible card for 3 to cast in white. Like that actually, really good. And Kargan Intimidator. Cowards can't block warriors. Choose one that hasn't been chosen. I love cards where they give you a lot of choice because it means there's a lot of flexibility of what you want to do. You can pay 1 and you can pay actually as many times as you can afford to boost up Kargan, or you can make a creature that becomes a coward, which obviously can't block warriors, so can't block Kargan or other warriors that you have, or you can give target warrior trample to the end of the turn. Really good flexibility, and tear to my eye. I love Jace. Alright, let's see what is in this pack. Let's rip it right open. Alternate Art Territorial Scythe Cat. It's got trample, +1/+1. Whenever a land comes out on the battlefield, it gets a +1 counter on it. It gets bigger as you play your lands. Turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, it's going to be bigger and bigger and bigger. It's going to be interesting. This is interesting. Cheap to cast sorcery for red, destroying target land. A lot of the destroy target lands in red's magic history is usually about 4 to cast, but also gives you the ability to draw a card. Also, the controller can search their library, so you're also giving an additional benefit to the person that you're destroying their land. But it's really good for things like getting rid of Maze of Ith or Rogue's Passage, something that's gonna really, mess up your gameplay. There's a lot of lands in Commander that just really stop you from doing what you want or allowing your opponent to, accelerate their gameplay. We have a Grackmore, Skyclave, Ravager, a legendary Hydra, horror creature. Ooh, I love that insect token card. So it enters with 3 +1 counters on it. It's Golgari. Whenever another creature you control dies, +1 counter, put it on this Hydra horror. And when this dies, create an XX black and green Hydra token where X is the number of counters on Grackmore. So even though it dies, the counters then become another creature. Up to our last pack. No Planeswalkers yet. We have a Roost of Drakes. If it was kicked, create a 2/2 blue Drake creature token with flying. Whenever you cast a kick spell, create. So this is all about integrating kicker synergy into your deck and creating lots of Drakes from it. We have a Brushfire Elemental. So we also have a Seagate Stormcaller. Whoa. And as a battlefield, copy the next instant or sorcery spell with converted mana cost 2 or less. You cast this turn when you cast it. It's kicked, you can copy that spell. That is a pretty cool card and very, very flavorsome in blue, and it's only 2 to cast as well. So that is all, friends, except in a booster box that I bought for the skit that you probably saw at the beginning of the video. A really cool box topper, Black Cleave Cliffs, which I'm going to sleeve, and Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients, the alternate art borderless planeswalker, where you get to create a 1/1 white core creature token, attach it to any equipment you control. Then look at the top 6 cards of your deck. You may reveal a warrior or equipment card, put them into your hand, the rest in any order. At the bottom of your library, Nahiri, Heir of Ancients, deals damage to target creature planeswalker equal to twice the number of equipments you control. So an equipment deck in red and white, which is very typical of those two colors. You are probably going to want to play this in your deck. Black Cleave Cliffs has this really interesting foiling, and I don't know if you can see it, but the borders are slightly printed with a reflective coating compared to the rest of the card. So, you know, if you're playing turn 3 or turn 4, you get this out and use it straight away. And that's what you definitely need if you're, you know, playing black and red, where it's often quite difficult to get a quick, fast mana base in the right colors. So in reflection, pre-release packs that you get at a pre-release weekend for a new set are supposed to give you a little bit of a taste tester of what the new set has to offer. And I think that pre-release pack did just that. And I think that we got to see some of the mechanics come through some of the cards in the booster packs that I opened, as well as a legendary creature here or there. I was quite impressed overall with the quality of the art, the quality of the lands, but also the flexibility in the mechanics. The kicker mechanic is just one that I really like, because if you have that extra mana in the late game, you can just pay the extra kicker effect and give that card that you have in your deck that extra boost. I know, like, when it comes to deck building, there's so many different ways to build, but I just love cards that have multi-functionality where you can use it early on in a game if it's got a cheap cost, but it's got this added extra bonus effect that if you pay extra in the late game, which you're gonna have a lot more mana to spend on, then you're gonna be able to get that booster effect, which I really love. And that kind of timing effect in building a deck is something that I do take into consideration in terms of determining and boosting the strength of it. Now, in terms of the party mechanic, when I first heard about it, I was like, uh-oh. So I've got to put a Cleric, a Wizard, a Rogue, and a Warrior into my deck and just build around those 4 creature types. And I thought, oh, how am I going to put these cards and play them in a deck that's going to work really well? And I know there are some cards in there that kind of require you to have all 4 to really get a really good benefit out of them. But there are some cards in there, depending on the wording, you know, even if you've got to a Cleric and a Warrior, or a Wizard and a Warrior, that extra card is already going to give you a better effect than if you just paid its base cost and use its base effect. So, you know, those cards definitely have their place in more like a tribal deck. And I know in the previous Zendikar block, you know, they had the ally mechanic where you had allies and used your allies to kind of help bring the theme of these allies versing these Eldrazi into the game. Whereas in this set, just having, you know, the party of all 4 different creature types and having that bonus boost is kind of an intriguing idea. Look, I like certain tribal decks. I like dragons and I like spirits. I'm not quite sure about this tribal deck. I also like wizards. Wizards is also good too. But I'm just thinking about the utility of using all the rogues and all the warriors together in kind of a mishmash. I think it's something they're going to experiment with and see how it plays out, maybe on MTG Arena first, and then see if I want to build one in real life. The other mechanic that I really like is Landfall. Landfall is so cool because every single game of Magic you're going to be playing some lands. Land is like the base currency of being able to cast all the spells that you want from your deck, and, you know, having a card that's really powerful that also has Landfall in your deck is just gonna boost, because if you're just throwing out land, there's lots of ways to get lands from your deck and just put them out on the battlefield, especially if you're playing EDH, especially if you're playing green, there's other ways to get the cards. You know, you're going to trigger that landfall effect. And there was that Lord Windgrace commander from Precon a while ago, which kind of was centered around landfall. He wasn't really that powerful in the Precon, but I might get that commander out and see if I can strengthen that deck now that we've got a huge more amount of landfall cards. Landfall is a mechanic that we've seen before, but it just works so beautifully because every deck needs lands, every deck is going to play a land, and every deck, if you've got landfall in there, it's going to just be the cream on top of the deck that you've built. Imagine your deck is kind of like a cake that you can eat. Yeah. In terms of the theme of the set, I love lands, and in particular, I will sleeve these, I promise, these are super beautiful. I got these from the booster box, double-sided Borderless Lands. Like there's creatures like this elemental ancient green warden where you can play lands from your graveyard, and I know some people in EDH, and I'm a player who loves playing Commander, which is EDH Elder Highland Dragon. That format, Muldrotha is a very popular commander card where you can cast things from your graveyard, but this is going to allow you to play lands from your graveyard as well. If a land entering the battlefield causes a trigger ability of the permanent control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Hint hint, landfall, and triggering landfall twice, even if you don't play lands from your graveyard, that is just gonna be like double cream. Got a Shire Soul of the Wild. Oh, beautiful. And it basically has power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control. Non-token creatures you control are forest lands in addition to their other types. So if you've got creatures on the battlefield that are not tokens, they are also factored into the number of lands that you have. They are also forests, boosting this legendary elemental to the next level. Maddening Cacophony, which basically is a picture of Jace going a little bit crazy, and it is all about milling. So if you play this card for 2, it's a sorcery. Each opponent mills 8 cards, which is heaps. But if the spell was kicked, so you pay 4 more, which means you're paying 6 altogether. Instead, each opponent mills half their library rounded up. And I know there is another card out there. If you pair this, there's another blue wizard creature guy that kind of doubles the effect of this card. I've just checked, it's a legendary blue creature card from Jumpstart called Bruvak the Grandiloquent. It's basically legendary creature human advisor, and if an opponent would mill 1 or more cards, they mill twice that many cards instead. Pairing that creature with this sorcery, so I would imagine that if you mill twice of half your library, it's going to be your entire library. What a sick combo, especially played during EDH. Into the deck it goes. Nissa of Shadowed Boughs. It's basically got landfall. When a land enters the battlefield and you control, put a loyalty counter on Nissa. Whoa, what the? And its +1 ability, untap target land you control. You may have it become a 3/3 elemental creature with haste and menace. So you can attack really early on if you have this, and it's still a land, so you can use your land as elemental creatures. Or you can take away 5 loyalty, put a creature card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control into the battlefield from your hand or your graveyard, and then put 2 +1 counters on it. Not only could you get some really big creature, so in the late game when you have a lot more lands out, you're playing green, so you're going to have heaps of lands early on, you get to bonus it up and beef it up with another couple of 2 +1 counters. It already is on a loyalty of 4, you only have to beef it up once and then you can use it already, or beef it up twice and use its second ability to get that really big creature out of your graveyard or straight from your hand onto the battlefield. Whoa, landfall mechanic. Verizol, the Split Current, is a legendary creature serpent. Enters the battlefield with a +1 counter for each mana spent to cast on it. So, whatever mana amount that you spent, it's going to get that many +1 counters on it. And whenever you cast a kick spell, you may remove 2 +1 counters from it if you do copy that spell. Simic, I love Simic when it comes to playing EDH, and the fact that you can copy maybe a blue spell in particular, or a green spell, by pulling counters of this means that you could have a really cool couple of counter spells up your sleeve to try and protect your big creatures. Really, really cool serpent. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I'm so excited for this set. and, you know, love Magic the Gathering. Thanks once again for joining me for another Board Game Sanctuary Magic the Gathering vlog. Please check out my other videos. If you really like Magic, please consider subscribing. If you really like Zendikar and you want to save Zendikar from ultimate destruction, please remember to like this video. And if you really want to see more board games and quality reviews, please subscribe to the channel, like and share this video with your friends. I'll see you on the flip side, and remember, tap each land, remember to use them wisely, and cast those counter spells. This is Danny signing out. See you guys next time. Goodbye.